All right, guys, before we get into today's episode, I want to introduce somebody very special to us. He's one of our trade partners. His name is Brock Murray. He's the COO of SEO Plus. Also, he is a co-founder. Today's episode, we're going to talk about branding, on how you can better your own, marketing as well, on how to utilize online presence, how to utilize social media to your best advantage. And at the same time, we're going to be talking tons of AI because right now they're becoming one of the pioneers in the game. So I'm excited. I don't know about Brock.
I'm excited.
But I'm ready to jump right in at this point. I'm pumped.
Let's go.
Because obviously we know what you guys do and we see your stuff and we're working together. So obviously we know the kind of work that you guys are doing. But right now, I want to be able to educate the people that even in the beginning when we started our journey, we weren't using social media correctly, right? Yeah. So, and then a lot of people aren't. SEO, all the other stuff. It's funny because the company is called SEO Plus.
Yeah.
So at this point, we want to be able to piggyback on that. So when you're looking for an ideal person to work with that has, from start to finish, they call you, hey, Brock, I got a great business, no online presence. It's always been kind of in the circle. We kind of want to branch out there.
Yeah.
Right. So where should people be starting?
I mean, a lot of times you have to start with a goal, right? And figure out where do you want to get to? Because when people come to us and they're like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do SEO or I want to do paid advertising. You can do anything within that, right? It's how much do you want to spend? Where do you want to target? So a lot of times it's what's your ultimate goal? I want to get to this amount in revenue, or I want this many new clients this year. And then try to kind of work backwards from there. So that's typically how we work. And then obviously we want to make sure we're working with the right types of businesses, right? That they have a good business, a solid foundation, because at the end of the day, we can send tons of traffic to their site from different channels. But if let's say their sales team is fumbling the leads and not able to convert, like that's also going to impact our ability to, make a good impact for the client. So that's a big thing as well.
I agree with you because everybody thinks that it's just about waving a magic wand, right? Everybody doesn't think that they got to do some legwork. It's your business, right? Yeah. So you're a trade partner. You need to be able to do your job correctly. How can you do your job if they're not providing you with what they need? And of course, if you're able to provide them leads, they got to be able to follow through with them, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about branding. Let's begin with branding. What's your ideal method for somebody to be able to create a winning brand? Let's say, as an example, us, construction company, roofing, siding, and masonry, right? Monarchy built.
Yeah.
Your advice, you've seen our stuff, you know what we look like. How do we create an award-winning brand?
I mean, I've been taught from an early age, it's not about just your logo or aesthetic. It's a big part of it, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But I've learned it's really what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? So it's having that, just a good reputation, right? And trying to leave like every customer at the end of the day in a place where they're going to say good things about you. It's not always easy in business. It's really hard to please everybody. But that's the ultimate goal, right? So that when there's, someone's talking about you, wherever that might be, online, at an event, or, a client talking to you about one of their friends, that they're saying good things, right? That's for me is what brand's about. So even for us, like there's, you're not always going to please everybody. There's going to be circumstances where somebody's upset or they didn't get what they want. But at the end of the day, hopefully leaving them in a place where they're still going to be, maybe it didn't work out exactly what I was hoping, but they're still going to say good things about you. And they're still willing to, sentiment.
I agree on that sentiment, but obviously you can't control that at SEO Plus, right? It comes down to the business that you're working with. So, right, if we're going to be creating some sort of branding to really brand yourself out there, what are some things that these businesses that are lacking in brand recognition can do to be able to maximize on that?
Yeah, I think it's understanding your audience, like who are you trying to target from a branding perspective, right? So for your business, who are you trying to target, right? It might be homeowners that, again, you say masonry, that, have a certain type of home or looking for a certain type of work. So it's really understanding like who is your audience and how would they potentially look for your services, right?
Why don't we talk about SEO Plus? Because it'd be easier for you to be able to discuss your own stuff, because obviously you're a master at your own business. You guys have been around for more than 13 years.
Yeah. And the branding, I mean, for us, we've been 13 and a half years in business. And I mean, for us in the early stages, like when we came up with the word SEO Plus, so our first company name was actually called Spin Web Solutions. So, and how we came up with that name, originally I was just on my own. I was a freelancer. I met my business partner. We met through another business that we're doing through like an IT company.
Right.
And we decided we were going to go into business together. And we were kind of like, what do we do for a company name? And he's like, the company name doesn't matter. So he pulls a book off his desk. It was called Spin Selling.
Mm-hmm.
You just call it Spin. Okay. So we called it Spin Web Solutions. We went for about 6 months. About 6 months into the business, we were doing a lot of web projects and things like that. And honestly, we were finding like it wasn't a great business because there was this starve and choke, right? You're like, you sign on this web project, it kind of like, it drags on, and it wasn't going to be the most profitable thing, right? And it wasn't necessarily what we wanted to do long term. So I discovered SEO, and I fell in love with it almost right away. But then we also found it was probably a good business model of like this recurring revenue model. So about 6 months into Spin Web Solutions, that's when we came up with the idea for SEO Plus. And the whole concept was SEO plus these other things, plus social media, plus web design, plus all those other things, right? So that was the initial thought with SEO Plus. And for me, like even just coming up with the actual like colors for the brand, like blue, for example, like the emotions that you feel when you kind of see that, it's supposed to be like comforting and cooling, and right, like versus like if you go like red, it's more aggressive, and like, so like that just felt like with my style and what we were kind of doing, it just kind of aligned. So that was kind of the early days of SEO Plus. What's interesting now, like fast forward 13 years later, like we're talking about AI, like the industry has evolved so much. And honestly, even for the past couple of years, people have been talking about, they've always been saying this, but SEO is dead, right? SEO is on its way
Which
out.
is crazy because I think it's crucial.
100%. But I think the way people are doing SEO has changed. Like, for example, we're talking about generative engine optimization, GEO, right? That's the next big thing within SEO. But we even talked the past year or two about rebranding, right? Because like, do people understand what we do truly when they see SEO Plus, or they think it's a thing of the past? Maybe we need to rebrand to something else. So even that's a thing we've been thinking about as well, right?
Well, that's a high level conversation. I don't think many people would think that far ahead because at some point, let's just say you guys do have a great business. People know about you guys, right? And then for you guys to have that conversation to rebrand, would you still keep SEO Plus as the name, or you're going to completely change the name is what you're saying?
It would probably change the name. I pitched Plus.
There you go, Spin, right? That's SEO. Now where are we going? We're going to
go right back, which is tough because you put a lot of money into your brand, right? Into events. Like we do a ton of community events, sponsorships.
Right.
Just people know who you are. So it's really, really challenging to have to move away from that. You're going to lose a lot of equity, right? So that's a challenge too in itself. But if it gets you ultimately to the place where long term, people are going to be connect with you and find you, and when they're thinking about what you're selling, that they're able to connect that to your name, I think that's important as well.
Well, to go back to brand, because like you just said, you're putting a lot of equity into sponsoring these events and stuff like that, right? So obviously when you think of brands like Coca-Cola, I think one of the most genius non-ad they've ever had is I don't know if you've ever seen that video. They had a truck, a Pepsi truck, and then the guy was on the back of the truck, and the dude comes with a Coca-Cola bottle, and he's trying to get some Coca-Cola instead of the Pepsi. I'm like, that's insane. I didn't even know if they lost market share then, but yeah. I'm like, what a genius non-advert ad. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't planned. It was just, one of those Facebook ads. But then to go to these businesses that are starting out, how can we really help them with the branding? Because we want people to recognize them the way they're recognized. Yeah. Are they going to have to start funneling money into adverts that work or may not work? Are we talking sponsorships? Are we talking billboards? Because you guys are in the digital space. So
yeah. I mean, I think you can create awareness, right? So for example, within Google Ads, do some display campaigns, get a bunch of eyeballs on it. But if people don't know what you do or understand what you do, that can be a challenge. You also see it in the e-commerce space where a lot of people, they want to start selling these products, drop shipping. But a big challenge is that there's not that trust yet, right? So for example, you can have the best ad, they come to your landing page, but if they're like hesitant to put their credit card in, that's a barrier, right? Whereas you go on Amazon, you put the same product on Amazon, people will buy it much quicker, right?
That's such a great point.
That ties into it, right? Because Amazon is a trusted brand. So that's a big part of it. Like you can do as many ads as you want. There's not that trust. It's going to be challenged to sometimes get that purchase, right?
That's such a fantastic point. It's funny because a lot of the stuff that we preach to our sales guys is you want to build trust first. Yeah. Because in the end of the day, you can have high price, low price. The pricing doesn't matter at this point if they don't trust you.
Yeah, it's very true.
So that's such a great point. So then now that we've created awareness for this product, right? Let's stick to the marketing space because I feel like, you know what? A lot of the times there's, how do you want to say this? These get rich quick scheme Because everybody thinks that, oh, you know what, the new fad is to open up a marketing agency, and now we're gonna, follow us into something like an AI arbitrage or something like that. And they think it's easy, it's quick money. They don't realize there's so much to it. They take one course and now they're experts to it.
Yeah.
So let's stick to somewhat your space, because obviously you guys are out there helping businesses grow and you're crucial to the market.
Yeah.
So let's say, if people want to go and they want to start now, okay, they started creating the brand, they started putting market awareness. Where should they start moving to? They have SEO plus. Let's focus on you now, right? So where would you navigate to in the early ends of your business to try to generate more customers and build brand awareness and trust? What did you guys do that was different than others?
Yeah. So ours, in the early days, there was a few things. One was leveraging our existing connections, right? So if we had people that we knew, trying to build off that, trying to get small projects through them, and then obviously try to get referrals. That was a big part of the business.
Of course.
Some of the first business we got was through Kijiji. Honestly, I went and made ads on Kijiji.
The best.
Like $200 a month SEO. And I'm not saying you got the best clients, but you got to start somewhere. If people don't know who you are and there's not that demand, you got to create demand, right? So ours was going on Kijiji. I don't know if that would still work, but hey, I got one of my first clients off Kijiji.
Me too.
$200 early. Okay, same thing then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Used Ottawa actually is where we started off.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you remember used
Ottawa. I do,
Ottawa.
of course I do. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So yeah, Kijiji, and then like networking events. So there used to be one called a Greater Nepean Chamber of Commerce. They'd have like a monthly event or whatever. So I'd go there, and again, you talk to. I'm not saying like today that might not work for me in terms of the type of clients I'm looking for and things like that. But in the early days, yeah, you get. You build connections and you get clients that way. So that's how we got our first clients essentially. And then from there, we practiced what we preached. So we were doing SEO, we had to do it for ourselves. So it wasn't until like after we launched SEO Plus, it was maybe like 6 or 7 months later, we finally got our website ranking #1 for Ottawa SEO. And that's where the leads started flowing for us. So that was what we did. But I don't know if it were today, probably a similar approach, maybe some different tactics. Maybe a little bit more on the GEO side, right?
Sure.
But similar ideas.
So then what's SEO? Because let's say give it to the audience. Yeah. What's SEO and then what's GEO?
Okay, so SEO is search engine optimization. So essentially trying to rank your website on Google is the main search engine. And GEO is generative engine optimization. So trying to basically get your website or brand mentioned on things like ChatGPT. So different LLMs or AI tools.
So now we're getting right into AI now.
Yeah, there you go.
So now to transition, what would be the way for you to be able to generate more business for your business today?
Yeah.
So if we went from SEO and we went from network marketing events, which I definitely think everybody should do anyways.
Yeah.
If you don't have much, get out there just to get your name out there. Yeah. But now we've created a website. Yeah. It's beautiful. Let's just say, right? You guys did a great job. Your website, everything is in the door, and we're starting to do SEO. Is SEO a fast process, or is it something that's longer than paid ads?
It's longer than paid ads for sure. Paid ads, you could set up a campaign and be running the next day, pretty much, as long as you have some landing pages set up. SEO takes time in the sense of your website needs to build up a bit of credibility, right? They call it like authority. So in terms of you got to launch it, Google has to crawl it, they got to find it, start indexing your pages. But there's also like the credibility piece. So the more times you can get like different websites linking to your website, especially like large publishing websites or larger credible websites, that helps your website perform better as well, right? So in SEO, at the end of the day, it's just having content on your website, quality content, not just throwing up crap that you've generated on ChatGPT, good quality content that's going to add value to your audience. And that's the stuff that will typically, tend to do really well and actually start to get you traffic that's going to, perform.
Are we talking DIYer tips, kind of good content, or what would you recommend as good content? Let's say if it's a restaurant or
restaurants are tough.
Then go somewhere else. Pick one that you like.
Yeah. I can give you some examples for us of like what works for us.
Sure.
So we specialize in like multi-location marketing. So for example, businesses that have 50, 100, 200 locations. So there's a lot of scale, and there's certain pain points for those businesses that they have. So for example, if I'm a marketing manager and I have 200 locations under my purview, I have to worry about when there's a sale across all these locations. I got to update the landing page, for the location page. I got to update the Facebook page. I got to update the ads. So there's a lot of like nitty gritty. It's not overly complex, but it's a lot of it. I got to go do this 200 times. So that's a pain point that we help with, right? On that. The other thing is like multi-location websites. You're going to design that and develop it a little bit differently than you would like one single local website, right? So there's different ways of kind of developing those sites. Brand consistency. So having that brand consistency across all your profiles, right? So there's just like very specific challenges for those businesses. So for us, we're like, okay, well, we want people to know that this is the type of business we help with. We need to be able to communicate that within our content. So we actually develop like landing pages and blogs that actually talk about some of those pain points, talk about some of those stories, some of those ways that we help those businesses, just putting it out there. And the end goal is having it found when somebody is going through that challenge of like, oh, I got to go update 100 locations and just does this quick Google search or chat GPT search. The idea is hopefully they're going to land back on our content and our website. And that's our ideal client. So that's what it's all about.
Would you consider that SEO still or GEO?
It's both. Honestly, GEO is SEO with a few differences. Like the only real difference is sometimes the way you're formatting your content or the way you're writing your content is a little bit different. The secondary piece is just the tracking. Rather than tracking keywords in Google, for Google, it's very simple. I'm searching roofers Ottawa.
Sure.
Okay. But in ChatGPT, they're going to search, what's the best type of roof for my house or my townhome or whatever it might be, right? So the way they're searching is more conversational versus just query-based, like very short keyword-based. So being able to track those prompts. What are the prompts that people are searching in ChatGPT to be able to track my visibility? And rather than tracking like, oh, am I number one on Google? It's what percentage of those queries am I showing? So it's actually like an impression share, which is a little bit different.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that was how it was working.
Yeah.
So then when you guys are designing all these multi-location solutions, are you guys you're helping with the bookings and you're helping with, what is it necessarily that you guys are doing to be able to help those pain points? Because we just said pain points, and we were talking about updating websites and stuff. But
it depends on the business. We have some clients that we go a little bit deeper, some that it's very surface level. Some it's like, hey, just run my ads and update my website.
Sure.
Simple. Some we're managing their e-commerce. We're helping them with, their customer help desk. Like you can go a little bit deeper depending on the client. So it really does depend. But high level, primarily doing SEO, paid advertising, social media content. Like those are the main.
So that's your ideal client that you're looking for? Is multi-locations?
Typically, yeah. But again, we've been around for so long. Like we have local mom and pop clients. I'm a very loyal guy. So when I have someone that's been a client from day one or from the early days, I'm always going to be there for them, right? Regardless of our ideal client is this certain type of client. We still have clients that are, tiny little mom and pop. That
You gotta love those guys. They're the ones that help with the startup in the first place. Because the reason why I bring that up is a lot of people think that because your plan A, it's what got you from A to B, is not necessarily what gets you from B to C. So at some point, people like to go off and they venture, they niche, and they want to specialize. So what I want to do is I want to try to give tips to the DIYers, and I want to try to give tips for the businesses. So obviously, in the end of the day, we want them to come and see the professional. But if it's something that if we can help out with the businesses, how can we really help them generate more business, especially in a time like right now, economically, it's very difficult. Yeah. So how can you really differentiate yourself and capture that market? Because right now that market's drier compared to then what it's before a year ago, a couple of years ago. So that's my mission today. And that's why I'm very happy to have you on, because that's what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So like at the end of the day, we talk about blogs, content, something else to add to your website. Obviously, like portfolio, like showing your work, whatever business you're in, whether it's online or you're, again, building homes and being able to just showcase that within your site, those customer stories, those testimonials, sharing that on your website, on your social media profiles, on your Google posts. Like none of this costs money to do per se, right? It's pretty straightforward. But when you can share that, you'd be surprised, like the people that will find that, or even the websites that will link back to that. So for example, we did this case study on our website where we had worked with an e-commerce, or they were doing, they were like a clothing store out of the US. And we shared just a case study of some of the work we did with them. It was good results, put it on there. Next thing you know, we had a couple like huge publishers linking back to it, citing those stats of that campaign as like one of the references in their articles, right? So just putting it out there, you'd be surprised. Even if it's not necessarily like a client calling you, there's still ways that for example, if somebody's linking to that, that helps your SEO. That helps them potentially someone land on you long term. So there's a lot of things just putting it out there, like it's going to help you, right?
That's cool. I never knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about how do you build community now? Because obviously that's what you want.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you guys go about building community at SEO Plus? Internally, externally, what's that key that you guys are looking for?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a few things. So internally, what we do, I mean, we want everyone aligned within the organization. Like as we get larger, things get harder. It changes, right? So for example, like in the early days when you're a small business, when you have 10 or 15 people, it's very easy, like roll up my sleeves. I can get in there. Like I'm going to help.
That's right.
But once you're at like 50 people, you can't do that anymore. The reason why, it's actually more damaging because then it's like, for example, now we have an employee, their manager, their manager's manager, and then like I'm there, right? So if I like go here, I'm like jumping above a couple managers. Like that's the last thing you want to do is like go over someone's head. Like you want to make sure they have the autonomy to do what they need to do, right? So
agreed.
That becomes a lot more challenging in the way you're managing people. It's, I call it like delegating to the delegators, right? And the way, like, I mean, there you just have to align like what are our goals? Where are we going? And how am I going to judge you against those different KPIs, right? So that's really important just from making sure everyone's aligned within the organization, but from building like community within the organization, we all have like we're all aligned on our vision, right? So our vision within SEO Plus, like we want to be a global leader. Like we're very competitive. We want to win, right?
Yeah, 100%. We're in the space of business.
Exactly, right? Like I'm a sports guy. I'm a big hockey guy. Like I like to win. I don't want to go into something to lose. I want to win, and I want people on the team who want to win too, right? So we want to be the best. So first of all, just making sure that people are aligned with that vision. And we built out these, what we call them vision pillars. But basically within our company, we have three main pillars. So one is impact, right? So impact is making an impact for clients, making sure we get them results, that kind of thing. The second is influence. So having influence with the community. So even things like this, like sharing our experience with the community, getting featured in publications, speaking at events, like attending events, networking events, that all falls under the influence bucket. And innovation, right? We're talking about geo and all these like things. Like if you're not innovating, like you're going down, you're going to eventually die because you're not adapting to the new reality, right? So those are the three pillars we know if we continually do those as an organization. And anybody in the company, you don't have to do necessarily all of them, but you can specialize in, hey, I'm really good at influence, or I'm really good at innovation. So we have these committees where we have about between 5 and 10 team members. They're on these committees, and their goal is to move forward different initiatives within those three pillars. So internally, that helps us kind of move things forward, get people engaged, because even if someone's really new within the organization, they can join up on one of those committees and actually feel like they're contributing to the overall vision of the company, right? So
it's amazing.
Yeah, that's internally something that we do, and that's had a really big impact. And then externally, like it's same thing. It kind of ties in those three pillars, but basically doing things like hosting our own events, right? So we do like a monthly AI marketing meetup where we'll invite people from the community. We'll have different speakers. That gives us a really good opportunity to share different knowledge and engage with the community. The other thing that we do is like these SEO Plus marketing meetups where this one's much less, there's no real content, there's no pitch. It's just, let's come have a drink, hang out.
Let's meet up.
Chat, so we do those as well. And then again, we do like a number of other events, community events and things like that. But all those contribute to people. Again, we talk about brand, knowing who you are, what you're about. And at the end of the day, they're going to want to help you out as you go too.
Well, I think like you said, right, that your staff are aligned with the vision. And I think that you have to be able to make that very clear cut, because a lot of people don't understand what the vision of the company is going. And some people find that very, how do you want to say that?
Just maybe not necessarily aligned, which can be a challenge, right? Like for us, it was how we originally came up with our vision. So for the first like 5 years of the business, we didn't have a mission or a vision. And it was kind of like, we're just doing it, we're making money, we're growing, things are cool, having fun. And then we had this time, I remember it was July, and first of all, it was our worst sales month ever. We had $100 in sales with 4 account managers, and things, all of a sudden we had like, I think it was 3 or 4 people quit within a couple weeks. And for me, that was at the time we had like 12 employees, and that's a third of your company or a quarter of your company quitting in a matter of a couple weeks.
Stressful too.
It's extremely stressful. Like, and it almost, for me, it was the early days. So it's more of a family type feeling versus like a corporate type feeling. So you kind of take it personally, right? Because kind of like, who would want to leave my baby type of thing, right?
That's right.
But what we discovered just is there was not that alignment. We didn't have that mission or vision. So it took us actually a year with a business coach to kind of come up with that. But once we came up with that, then it was a matter of like living it out, communicating it. And since then, it's been, I don't know, probably 8 years since we formalized that. But it's really had a huge impact on the business.
So you did get a business coach.
Yeah, we worked with a local business coach, yeah.
And was that person just involved for a year, a couple of years?
Several years. So we engaged him. The first thing he did, so his name was Rob Dale from Rhapsody Strategies. So the first thing he did was this assessment. So he sat down with my business partner and I, and he did this assessment to see how aligned each of us were in terms of, again, all these different areas, right?
Yeah.
And so there was like, it's really funny because I'm a details guy. I'm like, look at every detail of my business partner. He's not reading it, he's not looking at it. Like, tell me the cold notes, and that's it, you know.
That's my style of things.
So some more, yeah. So he, it was this, probably a book like this, 200 questions, little thing, But we made it through, and the crazy thing out of it, we were extremely aligned. Like everything we wanted was the same. We didn't have any areas where it was like this butting of heads. Like we were extremely aligned. So that was really important because I think sometimes if co-founders want different things, how can you get your team aligned, right?
Oh, I agree 100%.
Right. So do you have like a co-founder too?
No.
Or okay, so it's you. So, but I could also.
I had partners so I founded.
Yeah.
And then I brought on partners in the end.
Okay.
And then basically because of what we were just talking about, didn't work out.
Yeah.
Some of them still actually work here as employees now.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
But continue.
So I think I've always had that co-founder, right? So for me, it's very helpful where Eddie's not involved in the day-to-day business as much. So I'm emotionally invested, right? I'm in the day, you're talking to that client, you feel the stress, He's not. So I can go to him with a problem or a situation, and he can give me a very unbiased opinion. And usually it's right, just because he's not like, oh, here's what it is, right? It's pretty simple. And for me, that's helpful, right? To get us through different challenges. But anyways, so we went through this process. We were very aligned. And then we worked with the coach for several years. He did leadership training with our managers. And then honestly, we just got to a point where I don't want to say we outgrew it, but it just, I think our managers got to the point where they had learned all this stuff. And then we needed to look at, okay, what's the next stage of business coaching? So we actually engaged with someone from Europe who had worked with huge agencies and went through that process. And it's crazy. There was a point where our profitability had probably declined, and our sales didn't decline. Our sales were still going, but profitability was down, and there were challenges in the business.
Right.
He got us from we were at 9% profitability to over 20% year over year.
Oh, wow.
We tripled our profits, which was crazy.
That's amazing.
So it was, I highly recommend having a coach, 100%.
I agree. We have one internally.
Yeah.
And then it's the same process, because in the end of the day, I find it's the scaling that's very tough. You'll hit that wall, that threshold, and then to break that glass ceiling, going with the same strategies you went from A to B is not working from B to C. It actually burns you out.
Yeah.
So that's very good that you guys have that. It's very rare to hear that there's co-founders that are still aligned with their visions, right? And they don't have that friction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what it was for me and some of the partners. I was the only founder at the time being, so I was around for a few years before I took on the extra partners. You live and learn anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, and then it's funny because initially we never did much of the marketing. I find the reason why I wanted to have that conversation as well is one of the dark areas or the dark sides of this world in this space is there's too many fake marketing gurus. So a lot of them watch these videos and they took their price point off some fake guru, and he says, you know what, listen, we're going to charge you $2,500 a month. For some reason, I don't know why that's the standard. Yeah. And they always start off at the same number. But anyways, let's just say they're going to say at $2,500. And they have an account manager, and they have a website developer, and they have the X and the T's and the Y's and everybody else, right? And then now we're going to be able to, first we have to, do A/B testing, and we're going to start off with your content. It's going to take 30 to 60 days to start off even seeing any results. Yeah. And then anyways, doesn't mean, the problem is they don't actually know the space. The problem is they all started off and they're basically learning on OPM. Right, and other people's money. But the thing is none of them stick around anyways. A lot of these marketing guys end up burning out. Turns out, you know what? You have a lot of pissed off people calling you, hey man, I'm spending $3,000 a month in ad spend plus your fees. I'm actually in the hole every month with you. Yeah. we're not generating money, but they actually don't know the job. I find that's the dark side of your space doing what we do. And there's a lot of guys that actually don't tell you the truth. There's some people that, you know, even if you do construction, some of the niches aren't for you because you don't understand the niche.
Yep.
Obviously, marketing is very similar, but a lot of them don't actually have the aptitude or the skills to be able to perform of what you're looking for. So that's why I feel that's a very big dark reality. Yeah. So how would you be able to navigate? And let's just say, you know, people are interviewing, you know, different marketing agencies to go with, including SEO Plus, right? Doesn't mean you always get the contract.
Yep.
But what should they be looking for, number one, to say, hey, you know what, this is the person that we want to work with in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. SEO itself has a lot of shady, you know, black hat tactics.
It's crazy.
Companies and things like that. So
I've been burnt by 7 different marketing companies.
Really?
That's why
right?
I'm giving you a very, very intimate story that I've had.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very personal. I've gone through 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard horror stories where we have people come to us, and that's, I think, you know, even up till a couple of years ago, you'd have people come to you and they had these really bad experiences, and it's tough. It's kind of like a bad relationship, right? And they come to you and you see those pains, and you know you're gonna have to help them. Like, you want to help them, but there has to be trust there with the marketing company, right? And that's really hard when people have been burned. I think for us, a really big thing is just transparency, right? So from the beginning, if we see something that's going to be a challenge or we don't think it's going to work, like, don't sign that agreement. Like, don't enter into that agreement if you know it's not going to work. Like, have those difficult conversations from the first discovery meeting even, right? So,
I agree.
Right? Like, but there's some people where, again, they might need the money or the, you know, whatever it is, they'll just hop into it and they don't really care if it works, if it doesn't. We don't want that situation. Like, we got lots of business, and it's like the last thing we want to do is enter into an agreement where we know it's not going to work.
I don't think any client on earth is not going to care if it works or doesn't work. They all do.
Yeah. Right. So I think transparency is really important. Again, from the beginning. Another thing that we do is a lot of times they'll come, oh, you need a website, you need content, you need social media, you need ads, you need this, you need that. We try to keep it really simple. Listen, you need clients right away. First, we're going to set up ads. Okay. It's going to take this budget. You're going to need a landing page. Let's start with that, and then we can talk about everything else. Because we know once you get some clients in, then you get some ROI, then you can reinvest in the other things. The last thing you want to do is sign 5 services at once. You're trying to figure out all these different things. You're busy trying to look at all these different things, these approvals, and it's so much to juggle, right? But let's just build a bit of trust. Let's get you some clients, and then we can work.
That's the greatest answer I've ever heard. This is the first time out of many that we've interviewed in the years that we've been doing this business that no one, I feel like everybody just focused on the complex issues. Like I said, it was a very cookie cutter thing. Everybody comes in, your website sucks. You know what I mean? Even it could have been designed by Steve Jobs while he was still alive. It sucks. It always sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't work with whatever that you had before. We have to redesign everything. It's going to take months on end.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible answer because I've never heard that so far.
Yeah. But that's the difference. I think when you're more mature and first of all, you don't want to take advantage of anyone, and you don't want to waste anyone's time, and you want to see them get results. You know, paid ads is going to work. I know I can send people to your door as long as the offer is good. And you're, again, we talk about reputable and good brand, you know it's going to work. And that's why I love working with established businesses, because when they come to us and like, I have a website, I'm just not getting a lot of traffic, we know what levers to pull to be able to get them the traffic and actually get them those leads. But yeah, paid ads is always the best place to start.
Of course. So obviously, whenever somebody's starting from scratch, you always find the biggest hurdle would be what? The website development part, having them happy with what they currently have.
I mean, even the website development. So we typically do like WordPress websites, which again, even that, it's a challenge for us because we work with like enterprise level clients and then local clients. So the challenge is we're not going to develop an enterprise level website for a local client. So these days, you know, there's website builders. You can get a website up pretty quickly. It's more so about the content of the website. Like what type of content is it going to appeal to your audience? The other thing is like digital PR. So I don't know if you ever done any digital PR.
Have I done personally?
Yeah, or for the business. So digital PR is essentially where you try to get placements on different websites to link back to your website. So things like you'll be mentioned on, for example, like in a Forbes article about a certain topic. And that's where it can help build a bit of brand, help drive links to your site, and that helps your SEO as well. So that's something that helps. But it's similar where it takes time, right? You have to start the outreach. You have to look for opportunities. Like it can take a few months to actually start getting placements, right? So I'm not going to recommend that to somebody who's going to be like, oh, I need leads yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to recommend these long-term solutions like that. That takes time. Right. So
Let's get into the AI stuff.
all right.
That's the juice now.
Yeah.
So how are you utilizing AI and leveraging it to help with SEO plus, and then we'll get to the clients
Yeah. So internally, so many ways. So
I want to hear it all.
yeah, I mean, step one was when ChatGPT came out, right? And I remember it was one of my employees came to me. He's like, "Have you tried this new ChatGPT thing?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" "Oh, it writes content." I'm like, "Okay, let me check this out." Go start playing around. I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." Then it was almost like, "Damn, is this a threat? Is this a threat for us? If it can turn out this content, like, who's gonna need our content services, right?" Like, so a little bit of fear, a little bit of that's like. Then I'm like, "Okay, well, as an agency, how do we use this to get better results for our clients? How can we save time, right, on some of those rudimentary type activities?" So the first thing was giving our team access to ChatGPT. That was our first kind of deployment of AI. And now a lot of the tools that we've been using for a few years have AI built in, but actually deploying like ChatGPT within the organization. And this was before they had ChatGPT for Business. So it was where you had to go sign up. Each account had a credit card. We're using different credit cards. Like it was a bit of a disaster.
Right.
But we got it to a good place. The other piece was actually getting the team engaged. So we basically had this meeting with the team. We said, "Listen, we're going to start using ChatGPT. Here's the way you can use it within each different department." So we gave them some use cases for SEO, for paid ads, for design, for sales. Like every department in our company can use it for different things. So we're trying, because there a lot of people were like, "I can't use this," or this doesn't work for coding, or it doesn't work for web, or it doesn't work for content, whatever it is. So it's actually basically showing them, yes, it does, and here, let's just get it going. And what's funny nowadays, like this, fast forward 3 years later, the people that were some of the biggest almost haters initially are the ones that love it the most now.
Right.
Which is kind of funny, right? So it was basically getting people to work with it, coming up with ideas of how they can innovate within their departments. And now we're doing it where people are building their own custom GPTs. They're building more advanced thing where they're actually, we built 2 different tools. We built one for paid advertising. It's called Warden. And basically what it does is it will track anomalies within paid ad campaigns. So rather than the specialists having to go like dive into the campaign, see, oh, this cost per click is up, or these clicks are down, it actually will automatically do that for our clients. So then when they come in and log in, they just have these notifications and they'll see, oh, this client, the spend's up or the spend's down, or the clicks up or the clicks down.
That's incredible. And I'll tell you which keywords are doing well, what negative keywords are not.
Yeah. Or if something stops spending and all of a sudden it's not running for whatever reason. So either good things or bad things, or just flags them. So that saves some of that analysis time. So again, all this is with the end results of like having more time to be more strategic, right? Versus like doing nitty gritty analysis. So that's one. We also built one for digital PR, where our digital PR thing, we use these different tools. And basically, so we've got about 100 clients who are on these digital PR packages. And the idea is we try to get them placements on these different websites. So the old process is we basically would have to, for one client, we would scour through probably hundreds of opportunities, and we'd have to see
Manually.
Wow. Right? So we'd go through this email and through this site, and we'll say, we would have to look manually. Is this a good outlet? Is this a good topic? Can we match it up? And then they have to write a pitch, send it to the client, wait to get it back, send it to the journalist, hopefully get it.
Christ.
Yeah, like 80% of your work would be waste because you'd only hit 20% of the placements. So it was not very scalable from that perspective, right? So we actually built a tool that actually automatically loads in all the opportunities. It'll actually have a list of all our clients and like what type of business they are, and it will actually automatically match it up to the clients.
Incredible.
So now when the specialist comes in, it's already got the match pitches. It actually creates an outline automatically based on the previous pitches and the way the client likes their style. Like each client has their own profile. So then they come in, they say, oh, here's this placement for this client, send it to them, get it back, automatically send it to the journalist. And now we're able to do like double, triple the amount of pitches because they're not having to do that manual effort.
And it filters all of them too as well? Like all the good opportunities, bad opportunities?
Exactly. So we have keywords that will block out certain keywords if they're spam or whatever, block all those out.
Is that what you call custom GPTs?
It's a little bit different because we are using OpenAI's tech. So it technically is Chat GPT tech, but we've customized it. But we also use custom GPTs, which are through Chat GPT's platform, basically. So we use those for, we have custom GPTs. The content team loves them because they basically build out, here's the type of words the client likes to use, or this tone, and then they can help put content into it to like just improve it a little bit, right? If there's things we shouldn't have in there, or things we should, it will kind of take it to that next level.
So then every person that's involved using the GPTs, do you have to create master prompts for them as well?
Each GPT would have its own prompts, exactly. But then you can share the GPTs between the team.
So how would you go about creating the master prompts? Are you asking GPT itself, like Chat GPT, to help you create the master prompt for that specific tool that you're using?
Exactly. So
and it's that accurate?
The specialist would actually do it within ChatGPT. They could actually use it. There'd be a bit of manual process,
Sure,
and then using some of the AI tools as well.
Sure.
But it's the same thing when we're talking about like GEO. When I'm coming up with the prompts, I'm using the AI tools. I'm like, what better way to get these prompts than the things
the tool
that actually,
itself,
right?
It's incredible what AI can do. But when you guys first initially saw it, you said you were scared because you thought it was going to take over your jobs. Yeah. What's your opinion now? Because a lot of people are scared that GPTs are going to be taking over their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's scary still at this point, because even within SEO or content, again, people can use these to do that. I think it's, for me, it's more about augmenting than replacing. Again, don't get me wrong, it's going to replace a lot of jobs, 100%.
I agree.
Right?
I think a lot of research too.
You done a lot of research?
No, I think a lot of research jobs for sure are getting it.
Yeah, 100%. But I think I don't think the technology is there yet. I think people think it's smarter than it is, right? A lot of times it kind of feeds you what you want to hear, right? If you ask the question, it's kind of like gives you what you want to hear, and you have to challenge it to get further.
That's very true, because you can see how it's biased in the way you're asking this one question, but you can ask that question completely in a reformatted way, and it's a completely different
Exactly.
answer.
It's like, oh, you're right. It's like, well, thanks. You could tell me.
So are you telling your team to be heavily reliant on chat GPTs and everything else, or because it doesn't have a human side to it? I don't know if you feel like it now can display that where it has more of like a human touch or a human approach to your ads, or is it almost just like a guide and then you customize it after that?
Yeah, it needs to be customized. It takes a lot of work. And I'm up and down with it because I think there's a lot of benefits, but at the same time, I also see sometimes people are too reliant on it, where they almost check out to a certain degree and like pop it in, pop it out, and then they're not giving their all. Like for example, like again, we talked about innovation. Like we want our employees to innovate. We want them to come up with ideas. We want them to try different things. But I've also seen instances where sometimes people might put information into it that we wouldn't want in there, like privacy, security. I'm not just going to dump clients' private information into this random tool.
Great point.
Right? So that's important. Like we built this anonymizer so that they could basically put it into the anonymizer, so you're not putting the client's information or name or any of these private confidential details, and then put it into the AI tool. So that's important too, where people aren't just, again, they're still thinking like, just not doing stupid things.
Is it more of a security breach? Is that what we're worried about? Just in case of the data leaks?
That's one piece, but also just in terms of not, I don't know, like doing things that are like, for example, so we have this campaign brief, okay?
Right.
And one of the account managers, like, how could I potentially automate this process? How could I make it easier? Because when you're starting with a client, you have all these details. You basically, and you have to share all that information with the team. So they were like, well, maybe I just grab this email, I grab this proposal, I grab this, put it in, it will do the brief. My point is, do you really want AI writing your brief? Because this is the basis for the entire campaign. Like this is the information that you're synthesizing for the team to start things off on the right foot.
Right.
Like it needs that manual attention. I want my experienced person putting those details, making sure everyone has everything they need. You automate that. Is it going to miss something? Is it going to mess something up? Is it going to, you know what I mean? Make something up. So like that is, for example, a use case I wouldn't want to replace a human, right? Whereas again, there are certain that you'd be fine with doing, right?
Well, you were just said with Warden.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one called?
So it's called Pitch Plus.
Pitch Plus.
Yeah.
That's the one that they're finding the different
PR opportunities
that are going through.
Yeah.
So in those cases, you definitely would.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where it's
I agree
controlled, right? Like,
yeah. I think everything has its cycles anyways. You know how at some point it went from the blue collars to the tech jobs. And then, once again, I feel like that cycle might be dying off a little bit. And then we need some blue collar guys. Like bring them back over here to us. Yeah. Like we love you guys at the same time. We work in tandem here. You guys got to come back here a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I've been realizing that, and I completely agree with you, that they're way too heavily reliant on it, where everything comes down to, oh, just pop it into GPT.
Yeah.
Well, there's no more human touch anymore, and there's no more oversight.
Yeah.
Do you think that AI will replace your job if you're not trained with AI?
Potentially, yeah. Because I think the thing is, and what they're saying, the study is coming out now where people who are too reliant on it, they're actually like losing their ability, their cognitive ability, like their ability to think, right? And their ability to process data.
Yeah.
Right? You're relying on it. It's like that. Have you ever seen that movie Idiocracy?
No.
Oh my God. And it's this thing where this guy gets, I don't know, frozen, comes back like 1,000 years later, and everyone's just idiots, right? And like, it's almost like we might get to that point where people are so reliant.
It's looking like it.
You know, they lose their ability to think and just be smart. I don't know. So it's kind of scary. From
What I want to throw this out there. What I found a little bit interesting is now, because before, let's say if your wage was based on the skill set required for that position, how are they going to do that in the future, gauging those skills if it's going to be so heavily reliant on an AI tool? I wonder if now that is going to start to play a factor. So now let's say 1,000 years from now, Idiocracy, everyone's stupid. Let's just say that they're so reliant on GPTs, but I wonder how it's going to start affecting wages. Because let's be honest, as employers,
yeah,
you're paying based on skill. So let's say if you're top guy, you want them to go through the brief.
Yeah.
Right? If it's GPT going through the brief, already pay the subscription.
What's the point of paying the top guy to, right? And that's the thing. So skills for sure, but I'd say impact too, right? You know, your top performers tend to make the most because I can't live without them. I need them, right? There's a reason why I got to make sure they stick around. Whereas if someone's just not that, I don't need them because they're not that reliable anymore.
Yeah. What do you think the dangers of AI right now are? Top dangers. People need to watch out for. You're in the AI space.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, we talked about privacy and security. I think that's a huge one, of course.
Is it because everybody's just feeding the GPTs with their information?
Yeah.
This is what's happening?
And what's happening with that information, right? Like, and people are putting everything in there. People,
it's crazy what they put.
Their health, finances,
their DNA results.
Yeah, like, right? We saw what happened with what's that DNA testing company out of the States, right?
Which one? The one that was with Gary Brecka?
Well, they went into business and then they got acquired by
Ancestry.com?
So, yeah, something like, I don't know if it's Ancestry, but one of those ones where they're doing the DNA test and they went into business and then BlackRock acquired them and people are all concerned, what are they going to do? Who owns this data now? You know,
which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, and how are they using it, right? So that's scary and people are freaking out. So yeah, privacy, security, what happens with all that? How are people using it? I don't know. What are some of the else concerns? Bias is a huge one. Right? We talked about like the bias of the AI tool.
Right.
It's feeding you what you want, but also like there's other things where if people are using it for hiring, for example. What is that bias in hiring? Are they, again, is it how is it determining who the best candidate is? Right? There's all kinds of like concerns there too.
That's a good one because let's say in the end of the day we have ESA laws and all the other stuff. I wonder if at some point if there's almost like a watermark they can throw out there to kind of alleviate you from almost like a profiling. That you're putting this as a certain profiling because everyone always talks about DEI, but it's a little interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen some videos like what Sora AI is releasing.
Oh, it's insane.
That's crazy. If you didn't have the watermarks, you would never know.
I know. It's so scary, but cool.
It is. It is. You can absolutely do everything with AI.
Yeah.
What do you think the future of AI is going to be? Is it going to be completely like we said with Idiocracy? Or do you think it's going to finally take on some human emotions? Is there any research going on right now?
As is right now, the tech does not have any human emotions. It's only just a library of information. It's taking that query and then researching, like looking through the information and feeding you back. So it's not there yet in terms of kind of like really being able to dig deep into your questions. And again, what we do as humans, where we have all these kind of layers of thinking we have to go through before, giving a response. So I don't think it's there yet. I think it really has to evolve to get to the next stage of true AI, right?
And what do you think the stage of digital marketing is going to evolve into right now? Because you know how everybody it's completely saturated the market.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a completely saturated market still?
I still think there's a lot of opportunity to stand out. I think for people to lean into like what really sets them apart, what sets their business apart or themselves apart, and like really lean into those things. A lot of times people will try to be like someone else. They'll look at like maybe the leader in the market and they'll try to like mimic what they're doing or copy what they're doing. A lot of times, like you could really stand up by, focusing on what sets yourself apart. So even for us, like we don't look at what our competitors are doing. Like, okay, you do look at now, but I'm not like basing my strategy on what they're doing. Like I'm not like, oh, they're doing that, so I got to do that. It's more so like, what do we need to do to get where we want to go, right? And the plan comes from that. So I think for everybody, that's would be a really good lesson is like, where do you want to go as a business? And how can you kind of work backwards from there? Like, for example, where's our audience hanging out? If, for example, I'm a B2B business, a lot of times LinkedIn is where my audience is going to be. Right? I know the decision makers are going to be there. I want to have content on LinkedIn. Okay, what's the type of content on LinkedIn that's going to stand out versus everything else that's on there right now?
Which is a great question, by the way.
So, video content is something that always stands out. I mean, you're doing a good job with that, right? But it sets you apart, right, from the competition because it's very different. Like it's unique, and that's going to get attention, right? And that's always what you want. It's like marketing. It's always been from the early days, from when it was newspapers, then radio, then TV.
That's right.
Then it was ads, and now it's these micro ads, right? And I think it's going to continue being able to just deliver that message in a really synthesized, efficient way. Like that's what we're going to continue seeing. So.
I completely agree with you. It's funny because when initially my father-in-law was in the space of construction, they were doing the door hangers and the flyers and having their adverts there.
Yeah.
When you try to do that now, the results is very minimal. It's not even worth it at this point.
It doesn't work anymore?
No, I don't think so. Not in my space. Maybe if you have a ridiculous offer.
Yeah.
But I find sometimes they're very misleading. Some of these offers because they're not realistic. Because a lot of the times, like there's no standard. It's like you go to a dealership and you want to purchase a Toyota RAV4 or something like that, right? And they have MSRPs, and then it's kind of everybody has the same price, and then you go there and you shop, and then it's kind of you're basing it on the experience, on the warranty packages, and all the other stuff. In my space, it's nothing like that. It's very case per case, where I have to come and assess the situation at your house. Oh, you know what? I want this extravagant type of, MAC metal siding and all the other stuff. And I got to see how many facets you have and windows and all the other stuff. So there's definitely not a 100% template you can go based on. We go case per case, right? Yeah. So that's why I found marketing was very interesting. Are you still in love with your space?
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like even now with the whole GEO stuff, I feel it's just bringing me back to the early days of SEO, where it's like this problem solving and like this new, for us, it's like, just like, let's go back 12 months with SEO.
Right.
When we're talking to a prospect, oh, I know SEO. I have someone, I can hire someone to school to do it. Whereas in the early days when I was selling it, people didn't know what it was. They didn't have budget for it. It was kind of interesting and cool, right? So it's the same thing with GEO now, where businesses are like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know much about that. And, so you're able to kind of lead and educate people and kind of build out carve this out. Like we're figuring out while you're figuring out, and just being, again, transparent with that of like, here's some things we're trying. It's not perfect yet, but we want to help you kind of rank better on ChatGPT and things like that. So,
and they're still going to get results in the end anyways.
Of course, as long as you're doing the right things, right? So it's kind of using a little bit of our experience, our knowledge with like you said, understanding their business and what sets them apart and how we can kind of bring those together to try to get them those results. So I love what I do,
Who did you guys acquire right now?
So we just acquired Meerkat Marketing. So they are a local kind of marketing agency. They're focused more on, they do a lot of like LinkedIn, social media, and they do marketing strategies. Those are kind of the key areas for them.
Can we talk about LinkedIn a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is have you started dipping and dabbling with their LinkedIn ads?
Yeah.
And how effective do you think those are compared to Google ads and everything else?
I think it depends on the business. We've had really good success with some clients. Some clients it does not work. Like there's various reasons. I think if you're a B2B business, yes, you want to dabble with them. I find the businesses that actually works best with are ones that do like events. So whether like in-person events or webinars. So basically using it as a tool to try to get registrations or selling courses. I think those two pieces, it works really well. If you're just running like general brand awareness ads, it's going to be really hard to get an ROI because they're not inexpensive, right?
What about you have people that sit there and they farm? Because you know how they're talking about there's AIs and now it's just completely spamming people. Yeah. And then, we have 1,000 messages and we're booking 33 calls in a month. A, is that legit? And B, how qualified are these leads?
I've not had a good experience with that personally. Like I've tried a couple different agencies for the outreach, the LinkedIn message outreach or whatever. The big one for me is when we talked one of these originally was that they wanted to use like a fake profile to do the outreach, right? First of all, I didn't want to use my profile because the last thing I want to do is hurt my own reputation.
That's right.
Or ban my profile because it's, I mean, I've built that up over 10
We've all done
years.
it. It's okay. We're all guilty for it.
Right. But yeah, for me, it felt weird using this like this fake profile, the fake, like it just, for me, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like us. And we were like, we'll try it. We didn't get anything after like 3-4 months.
Well, God bless the fact that you did that. Imagine you would have just been blasting it from your own profile.
Well, yeah, it might have actually hurt things, right? Then you have people talking bad about you or leaving you a bad review or whatever it was, right? So how I've had success with LinkedIn organically is honestly just sharing content, like stuff that I'm just sharing it because I'm interested in it. For example, this one time I shared an article about Google Analytics. I've been asked to write an article for Shopify. This was like 10 years ago. Right. I was super excited. I wrote this article, submitted it. He's like, this just isn't up to the quality we're looking for. So I got denied. I was like, damn, like that sucks, you know? Yeah. Felt bad. I was all excited. I was gonna have this article on Shopify. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna post it as a LinkedIn post, just get it out there, put it out there, whatever. I got reached out by this guy. His name is John Milne, and he worked with Invest Ottawa. And he's like, hey, I just saw your article. I'd love to meet you. Come by the office. So I went by the office. Next thing you know, he's basically offering me a job. Like now it's a bit of a different job. It's more of an advisory type role.
Right.
But anyways, I ended up accepting. I worked there for 6 years. I met amazing people.
That's awesome.
Experience, right? And that was just an article that I got turned down, and I put it on there for fun. And what do you know? It led to some pretty great.
That's incredible. So one door closed, another one opens.
100%.
What's your advice in terms of making connections on LinkedIn? Because I feel like if obviously you get a lot of connection requests.
Yeah.
So what's your advice?
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, there's a lot of spam right now, which is challenge. So I try to trust my judgment in terms of what's real and what's not. I'm not always right. Sometimes there's actually people who I think are just trying to sell me something. They're actually looking for business.
Sure.
I think it's just, staying authentic in terms of like the type of stuff you're posting. I think you want to be responsive to people without letting it take over your life. Which, if I responded to every message that I got,
it's insane.
You know what I mean? And a lot of it would be bots too, right? So that can be a challenge. But there's also a lot of opportunity. Like you just talked about the Meerkat marketing acquisition. We actually connected first on LinkedIn. Like we just connected there. I don't think we chatted for the first couple of years. Eventually he saw my content, reached out, we built a relationship, and a few years later we ended up acquiring the company, right? So there's also things that will happen that are good from it as
Which
well.
is awesome anyways. But do you suggest connecting with a note or without a note?
A lot of people say add a note. Personally, I've added thousands of people. I never add a note, really.
I never do.
There you go.
I literally made the debate myself. I'm like, should I add a note? No notes.
Yeah. If you really want to add context, but I've also added notes like wanting to add someone and then they just ignore it. So,
It's such an interesting conversation because most of the people that I ask, like, what do you think is best? I find it's very annoying every time that you get a request and it's always they want something. Like have a conversation first or something.
Yeah, but a lot of it is automated, right?
Of course.
Most people, I don't think they're building out these like 3-paragraph friggin'.
But who's reading those anyways? Guys, please, if you're watching this, please don't do that. No one's reading them.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah.
What are we gonna leave this off with, Brock? Honestly, I'm having such a great time. We want to put down your stuff here, your links, all the stuff in the description. What's preferable for them to reach out to you?
LinkedIn is always great.
Oh my God, we're going back to the
Brock
LinkedIn.
Murray on LinkedIn.
And don't leave a note at this point.
So you can also, my website, brock.plus. You can reach me anytime, or seoplus.com for anything business related.
Last question. How big is the team now?
We're about 50.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're about 50. So it's obviously with the acquisition, we got a few more team members. Still going to continue to be looking at, obviously, to grow, like look at other potential opportunities from that perspective, right? But learning a lot from that, because even like the integration, like once you buy a company, like how do you integrate the different cultures and the workflows and different work styles, right?
Jesus Christ, that's a great conversation. How do you do that? Is Meerkat still around, or you kind of just absorb them?
They're running. We're working together, but I'm running them as separate companies right now. And the first thing I learned, because even the first couple weeks meeting with the team, and you're kind of like, I'm like, oh, I could create some efficiencies there and there and there and there. And all of a sudden I was about to go start making all the changes. And then all of a sudden I started getting a bit of resistance, like to change, right? And I'm like, so I was talking to a guy, and he had acquired 11 businesses in 5 years. He's like, the number one thing I can recommend, leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Okay, let it. You know, you've gone and you borrowed all this money to buy this business. You know, you got to pay the loan back.
That's right.
You start messing with it, all of a sudden you're losing clients, you're losing team members. Like, so don't kill it. And there's a reason why they were successful in what they do, and that you're different. There's a reason you brought them in, right? So for me, I've actually just completely reeled back. And I'm like, you know what? Let them run.
How hard was that though?
It's
Because you're just watching everything and you're like, you know what, I want to jump in. How hard was that to just restrain yourself?
It's tough because it's against my inner nature, I guess. I'm a fixer, I'm a problem solver, so I like to solve problems.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, letting things change through osmosis, I think will be much better, where things will change naturally one way or the other. I don't have to force it on day one. It'll happen eventually. So that's something I'm learning, is just kind of let things go a little bit.
And I wonder, you know what, if I was part of that team and I'm like, oh no, it just got acquired by, and then everybody knows, the hacks start, you know what I mean? Everyone's starting to get their job cut.
Yeah.
So maybe that was another thing too, they were scared of. And
oh, for sure. And then the good thing is they only had 3 team members, so it's not like, you know, we're not getting rid of any of it, you know. But I could understand if there was like 15 people, some of them might be, you know,
are they great?
Or whatever. Huh?
Great people?
If
those team members that you acquired?
Oh, they're great. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're amazing. Yeah. So,
Is the old owner still involved?
yeah, he's joined our leadership team as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Congratulations, man. This is
yeah,
exciting stuff.
Yeah. Learning a lot, and like that's the thing. Right? Every day in business, you continue learning, right? And I know yesterday I learned something, tomorrow I'll learn something, and for me that's what makes it fun, right? Like
that's incredible. So now you're just going to start getting into the acquisition. You almost look like you're going to become an Alex Ramosi at this point. Right? Now you're going to be around long enough to see more SEO. I'll tell you that much.
He's got some interesting sales tactics. What did he do? Like 100 million or something like that? And
no, more than that.
It was crazy.
It was insane. On his book launch alone, I think he did over I think close to 2, which is insane. And that was, it's funny because they're teaching on how to make sales.
Yeah.
And obviously they're deploying those tactics during that event, which is still incredible. You're seeing it live in real time doing it, but
yeah.
It got some great stuff, man.
Well, it's kind of funny, but then weren't they selling like you had to buy 200 books or something like that?
Yeah, so I think at some point it was more than 200 books. For that package, I think was $6,000.
Yeah.
USDs.
Yeah.
And I had a dead-on feeling that as soon as, you know, one guy's gonna buy, they're gonna resell and just scan all the pages, and you should seen the spam that came online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can spend. So a friend of mine did that. He was showing me. He spent $70.
Yeah.
And he got whatever that you would have spent $6,000 on.
Yeah.
Right? To the letter. I was going through it. I'm like, I won't lie to you. I'm not going to complain, but as a business guy, I'm like, you know what? It's shitty that, you know, you're trying to sell a product and then you got some guys that are just sitting there and they're just repurposing it and they're just selling it themselves.
Do you think though, like when I saw that, for me, it wasn't so much about the content. Yes, the content's great. I think it was more so about, I felt like he wanted people to be part of something, right? So like, you go buy the $6,000 package, you feel like you're one of them, right? This kind of like group mentality.
Right.
It wasn't so much about the content of the books. It was just like, I want to be part of that.
I agree with you, man. But I think we can appreciate that as being entrepreneurs in business. I think a lot of these people that are hacks are just trying to repurpose things and steal other people's content and repurpose it. I don't think they'll ever understand that. And it's sad that it happens in the first place. Because you know what? Even if you look at it and you're saying $6,000, you've hired a business coach. You know what it costs, right? So if you're getting a lot of the same similar content for like not even a third of the price, way less than that, right? And then you've gone through 2 now. What did you say the first guy's name? Bob Dylan?
Oh, Rob Dale.
Rob Dale.
Yeah, Rob Dale. Close.
So let's say him, right? You've paid him. He did the same thing with you.
Yeah.
And then this guy built his whole bit. It took him years to be able to do what he did.
Yeah.
But I think it's great stuff. I think he really is trying to build a community.
Oh, yeah.
And I think obviously you're in the community. Is Invest Ottawa still around, by the way?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask this.
Yeah, they've been around. Oh, yeah.
They're still around?
Yeah. They still have their startup kind of area of the business. They have their accelerator. They have their scale up with large 5 million plus companies. So
are you still involved with them?
I'm not involved anymore.
Not anymore.
No, I've been, I left in about 2021. It just got to be too much to do that while running
what you're doing, of course.
But like the relationships I made in there, where I saw startups come through, you know, just like very early stage, and now seeing them, some of those businesses are 10 times the size of my business. It's pretty cool seeing those journeys,
That's awesome.
right? It's pretty fun seeing.
Well, you know what? It looks like Brock's gunning for you guys, so don't worry. He wants to be the winner here. Brock, man, it's such a pleasure to have you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
So if you guys like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Go follow Brock and go see what they're doing. You guys are really going to like what he does. So once again, share this video. And if you're going to do the LinkedIn, debate the whole note and no note stuff.
Add a note.
Till next time, my friend.